All right, everybody. We waited long enough. We're going to go and get rolling. Thanks for joining us. I'm just, this is stuff that I've picked up over the years. I am probably the most scatterbrained, unorganized person that you'll come in contact with. But the good thing is I realize that, and I know that, so I have all these different checks and balances on myself. And
show yourself.
What's that? Yeah. I've got the screen share, so for the thing. So first of all, people that are logged in, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So I understand that I am scatterbrained. I understand that my attention span's about that long, and so I've learned over the years things that works for me. And everybody, some of this stuff may not work for you, but it definitely works for me. If it works for me, it'll work for anybody. But hopefully, my goal is just to give you some ideas, some things that you might can take away to make you a more efficient, a better leader, and everywhere in between. So we will get started. So the first thing I want to talk about with time management is what I call time vampires. And sometimes a time vampire is a thing, but most of the time it's a person. And my definition of a time vampire is someone who drains time and energy from you in a way that's unproductive or disproportionate to their value. So I know that's some big words, but if you think about a time vampire, so somebody that sucks that energy or time from you that's not adding any value to it. Like, it's different if somebody, let's say Todd, stops me and starts talking to me and asking me a question for 5 minutes. That's not disproportionate to his value, whereas somebody stops asking me a dumb question that they knew the answer to. So time vampire. So one of the things about this, and I understand there's a ton of moving parts, and everybody's department runs different. So obviously, I'm going to say this now, there's exceptions to every rule on all of this. This is just some things that I have in place to help me. But most people are very democratic and easygoing with interruptions. We've kind of created a atmosphere and a culture of, it's okay, I'll drop what I'm doing to put this fire out for you, that my stuff's not important, but I'll jump right on this. And sometimes we have to do that, but it's one of those things that we've created that behavior. And so if you want to make some changes on it, don't start snapping people's heads off, but we just have to retrain people. So if you think about when you go to the doctor, so if I make a doctor's appointment, I know that I'm probably not going to get in the same day, right? I make an appointment for maybe that week, might be next week. And so if my appointment's at 10 o'clock, say, Roger Thompson, you have an appointment at 10 o'clock to see the doctor, do you expect to walk right in and see the doctor right away at 10:01? No. Our expectation is okay, I'll get there and sign in. I'll fill out some paperwork. I'll sit in the lobby for 10, 20 minutes at the earliest. Then I'm going to put me in a room, and I'm going to sit another 10, 15, 20 minutes or longer, and then the doctor's going to come in and speak to me for 5 minutes and leave. So am I mad that happened when I go to the doctor? No. Why? Because they trained me on how they do business, right? An attorney, things like that. So they've done a good job of setting things up to where, hey, this is how I do business. This is how you get in touch with me. This is how I do things. And as long as I know on the front side, they're meeting the expectation they've already set, I don't get mad at them. But if there's some businesses that I'll go in, if somebody doesn't talk to me within 30 seconds, I'm mad and we'll leave, whereas I'll let other people treat me like a piece of crap, by most terms and standards. So now, is that a hard, fast rule? No. I mean, there's different things you can do, but if you permit it to happen and let it keep going, you'll be surrounded by these time vampires. So there's some things in between there that you can set up to alleviate some of this stuff and make sure that not everything's always on fire right then at that moment. Sometimes you need to be interrupted and things are major, but most cases I found is it's not that big of a deal. So we're going to talk about a lot of things like that today. My favorite is have you got a minute? Where you get stopped, you're right in the middle of something, or somebody catches you in the hallway, and it's almost irresistible to not stop somebody, if you've got something, or just walk right in their office or whatever it is. And we kind of set up the culture that's how we do things, right? So it's quick and easy. You don't want to be rude. You're going to stop and answer the question no matter what you're doing. But how many times a day, if you're stopped like that, 5-10 minutes here, 5-10 minutes there, 15 minutes there, you have to get your brain back on what you were doing. You might can lose 2 or 3 hours a day in some cases doing this. And realistically, people aren't placing a value on your time when they do this. And I do it too. I'm the world's worst. I walk, hey, Trisha, I have a brain fart and walk in there and say some shit about what she's doing and all the above. But really, when you look at that, it's in some ways it's disrespectful. In some ways it's not, but how do you fix this? Well, hey, I'm busy right now. Let's meet at 3 o'clock for 15 minutes and we'll cover everything. That's a way to do it. One thing that I do is I'll say, hey, email me. Especially if I'm walking down the hallway and you say something to me, I'm going to take 10 steps and forget what you said. That's just the way my brain works. And nobody's perfect. I mean, if you don't, a short pencil beats a long memory any day, I've always said. And actually, I probably didn't say that. Somebody else said it, but we'll say I said it. But it's, I'll people say, email it to me because I'm going to forget it, right? I might do something else. Somebody else might stop me again. We've all done that where we have intention of going somewhere and doing something and we get stopped 4 times. It happens to me when I'm leaving work every day. I'll get up at a certain time and then 30 minutes later I'm walking in my truck because I've got stopped 6 times and I thought of something else. And so that's what that's like. And so if it's not a situation where I can say it's one of your staff, I say, hey, just send me an email on it, lay out what you want me to do. And that way I've got a copy of it too, of on paper that you said it to me. You've got a copy that you said it to me. But if it's like a customer or something happens to me at church all the time or somewhere out, like we're at Thanksgiving dinner and my wife's grandmother said, hey, I need to file a claim on my car. Can we do that? Right? And I said, well, no, I'm sitting on the couch and I can't do it on my cell phone, but I sent myself an email, so when I got in the office the next day, I had it. So you don't want to tell a customer, well, email it to me, but you can tell a staff person that. Send me an email so that way we got a record of it. Plus, it keeps you from forgetting when you do things like that. The next thing is that I've got in place is staff asking basic questions. I want to put stupid questions, but I've heard people say there's no such thing as stupid questions. I disagree with that, but there's lots of stupid questions, but anytime somebody asks me a question, I'll say, well, what do you think? And just look at them. Because so many times I see people ask questions, and I learned this early on. This one guy that I had working for me at the consulting agency, he would ask me these just dumb questions. I'm like, the answer to this, but he would have just what do I do here? And he would go ask me, and I would tell him. After about 2 or 3 weeks, I was like, I'm just doing this for him. I'm thinking for him. So I'll say, well, what do you think? And then you wait for their answer. I say, okay, that sounds good. And if you do that enough, they'll quit coming to you with dumb questions. There's let them figure it out. And sometimes if it's not something that is super important right then, I'll say, well, go back and think about it, figure it out, then come back to me and we'll talk about it. And 90% of the time, they'll come and say, hey, I figured that out. That's because they took 45 seconds and actually thought about it themselves other than, hey, let's just let Josh go out of the answer. Now, again, there's exceptions to this, and you don't want them to create the culture of, hey, don't bother me, don't come to me with questions, don't make big decisions that's going to screw something up. But at the same time, too, this gets them to start teaches them to actually think, right? And it keeps them from interrupting you for simple things that they actually know the answer to. It helps grow their critical thinking, and eventually they only come to you with important stuff. And so we've got that now, like with us in the agency. I go weeks and days without talking to any of my staff about insurance stuff because we've empowered them just to handle things. We talk about things, but as they do their thing, they're empowered to make decisions. And I think that's so important because I hate micromanaging stuff. And I don't like for anybody to micromanage me. I believe in you have people that are empowered to do the job they're doing. Now, again, in each department, that's different. I have highly paid, skilled positions. All of my positions pretty much are highly skilled positions. So it's a little bit different versus some of the departments here might have, jobs, entry-level jobs and things like that. It's a different person. It is what it is. But you can still empower people to make decisions. And when you empower them, back up their decisions they make. And if they make a dumb one, say, listen, next time, this is one of the decisions that you should come to me with, or if not, roll with this. And again, you don't want to be ugly about it to people, but it's just simple. Drew asked, hey, Josh, how do I do this? Well, what do you think, Drew? Well, if they hadn't thought about it, I'll know real quick, because I said, well, don't, go think about it, come back to me. And you do that 4 or 5 times, they'll never come to you without having a solution already in hand. Now, if I don't think that solution is a good idea, so let's talk about it. Or, sometimes I have a problem with that my way is the best way. And sometimes you can get 9 different directions to get to where you're going. But if it's their idea and it hurts me to do it, I'll say, well, that sounds great. Go with it. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, that's not how I do it. But, hey, that's what they came up with. I don't want to beat them down. Let's roll and go with it. Does that make sense? So the next thing that I use, and I do this a lot with COD, and I don't get to use it in the agency as much because of the way we got everything set up, but I used to use it a lot where it's a conversation planner. So if this is certain things that you've got people that you interact with on a daily, weekly basis that you need information from them, they need to give information to you. And we have right now, it's just somebody hits a thought in their head, they fire off an email. Next thing you know, there's 20 emails going back and forth, and an hour's gone by and we've got 800 emails in there. We don't remember what we said off the get-go. So a conversation planner is a sheet of paper. I've got copies. I'll be happy to give you one where hey, I need to, so Todd's my direct supervisor. I need to ask Todd about this or tell Todd this. I'll write it down on my conversation planner. And so it's not something that maybe I don't have to go to him right away with. Maybe it can wait till the afternoon. Maybe it can wait till the next week or whenever. But you write everything down, and then maybe you meet once a day with this team member and you go over the conversation planner with them. So you take and say, hey, you've got somebody that's coming to you, and they think, oh, I need to tell Drew this, or I need to tell Ryan this. Well, they just write it down. As they go through the day, they write all that stuff down, questions or things they need to tell them. And what's cool is what happens is a lot of the times, by the time they get to that afternoon, they've already answered half those questions, and it makes things more efficient. So, and again, there's exceptions to this. So if it's something super important, you want to come to you right away. But if it is something that can wait, let them add all up, add it all up. Let's do it all at once. So instead of taking a 5-minute conversation 10 times during the day, we can take those 10 items and get it done in 10 minutes. So it'll take some time, and this isn't for every staff person. Those of you who are maybe managing people that manage other people, that this is a great situation for that, because they're busy, you're busy, everybody's busy. You make the best use of your time there. So one thing I'll do is, before I have a meeting with Todd, I'll send him an email, because he's super busy. And I say, hey, this is the 10 things I want to ask you about. Here's what my question is. Here's what I think the answer to it is. This is what I want to do. This is what I need to know. And so by the time he gets to the meeting, we've taken a meeting that would normally take 30 minutes, because I'm having to hit him right off the get-go. It's the first time he's ever heard it, first time I've hit him with it, and we're taking 30, 45 minutes to explain this stuff. I send him that email before the meeting. We take a 30, 45 minute, and we get it done in 15 minutes, because it's rapid fire, and you can make best use of your time with things like that. It's efficiency through the roof with that stuff. And people that's got a big staff, like Roger, Steve, that are managing tons of people, Pat, pretty much everybody in the company, but some people more so than others, you could free up 2 or 3 hours a day by doing just this one thing.
I like the sound of that, because I'm sitting here thinking, I fire off emails like crazy.
Yeah.
And then if I don't have a way to track that I sent it, I forget I sent it.
Yeah.
So, but I don't like the idea of writing it down on a piece of paper, which is going to get lost on my desk.
Yeah.
So do you have a...
I could do it maybe.
I could do a Word doc.
Maybe do a Word doc, or open up an email and have the email going all day long, where it's just in draft mode, and have an email trail. Maybe you've got one for Todd, you've got one for Bo, you've got one for whoever it is you're communicating with that you just send it to, or you have your teacher staff do this for you. whatever works for you. I like a piece of paper because I've got it sitting right there. But however it works, it might be in notes in your phone. The problem about electronic stuff is I think that can get lost quicker than a piece of paper can on your desk.
Well, on my desk, both of them, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
It's organized anyway. So, but I do like what you're saying. It could be you just have a little notebook or a binder with different tabs for the people.
They're 50 cents,
Yeah.
And
I like that idea. That makes sense.
and it's amazing the amount of time you can free up doing this and the efficiency. You're less likely to miss stuff. Now, again, that's not a hard line in the sand saying, hey, this is the only time we can communicate. You got to make sure that the staff know you're available, but we set up some parameters. This is kind of retraining people how to do business with you and how you do business with people as well. Technology efficiencies. I've got a monthly reminder on my calendar, on my email, which we'll talk about that later, of, hey, step back and look at the business. What can we do better type thing? So do a self-evaluation. Maybe do I have a counterpart that I can learn from? Like maybe call up somebody in Mississippi that does what you do for another dealership or another business, and hey, connect with somebody and maybe learn something from somebody else. Is there somebody in the company that does what I do? Is there somebody here with now as big as we're getting? I mean, we can pull from experiences from all over the place. What can I learn from somebody else? Or maybe am I making software technology work for me? I know everybody feels right now like we're working for the technology with all this change and stuff, but technology is to make us more efficient. There's tons of dealerships that don't have a DMS, and they run and go and things like that. I can't imagine not having the technology to work. I mean, just in our insurance agency alone, I mean, everything's automated. We have no filing cabinets for paper. Everything's electronic. Everything's automated. If there's something that I can automate that I don't already have automated, I don't know about it. If there's any software that would make us more efficient, I'm not sure. So look at that. Maybe it's some opportunities that you have with, say, man, if I could fix this, if I could wave a magic wand and fix this, that would be awesome. Well, Google it, YouTube it. It's amazing the stuff that's on YouTube and Google because more than likely your opportunities aren't unique. If it's an opportunity for you, somebody else somewhere else has probably faced it too. There might be a solution for it. So technology efficiency, we could spend a whole hour talking about technology. And I know this is a sore subject because we're knee deep, maybe neck deep in all of this change. But at the same time too, I mean, what kind of training is available for it? YouTube, the companies, all the different softwares we use, the more you can understand it, the better you can make it work for you instead of you working it. So that's something, a good tip to take away too, just something to think about, step back and kind of look at things. The next thing is delegation. My big thing with delegation, if it doesn't require a relationship for me in the agency, in the department, if it doesn't require a relationship, I can delegate it. That's something I can delegate. I'm not saying delegate everything and you just sit there at your desk and kick back all day. But I mean, if it's something that doesn't require a relationship or a highly skilled type task that you're doing, something that only you can do, you can delegate that. And sometimes, like I've had a problem in the past that I'm such a nuts about, I want it just like this, just like that, and I want it, look like this, that I didn't delegate things, and I ended up doing tasks that were way below my pay grade, lack of a better term. So, a good rule of thumb is if somebody can do it at least 80% of how you can do it, you can pass that off. Most cases. Again, there's always exceptions. You don't want to delegate hiring and firing, a high value task, but if somebody can do it 80% of where you are, you can delegate that task. Delegation develops new leaders, cuts out having to micromanage people. It builds more trust in them. Still inspect what you expect, but at the same time, delegation is so important because it really frees you up to work on high value items, things that are driving revenue and stuff into the department. So my two rules are never delegate anything that requires a relationship. I think that's something that you can't especially people that are dealing with customers and things like that, or dealing with employees. That's a relationship. There's a relationship with your staff. There's a relationship with customers. There's a relationship with other people here. Don't delegate those things, but if it's tasks they can do it pretty much as good as you can, let it go, because realistically, you're in the position you're in because you are better than the other people, or you wouldn't be over them, in one sense of the form of the matter. So they're probably never going to be as good as you are, or maybe they will be, but if they can get pretty close, 80% is good enough for me. The next thing is a time audit, and I do this periodically. And again, this is how my brain works. So the times where I catch myself like, oh my gosh, it's already 6 o'clock and I have no idea what I've done today. I've been busy all day long, not really sure what I did. Or maybe it's something where you feel like you're constantly behind on things. Journal your day. Take a notebook. Write down everything you do from 8:15 to 8:23, I checked emails. 8:23 to 8:27, I talked to Amy. 8:27 to 8:36, I went to the bathroom and peed. Whatever it is, but really, truthfully sit down and journal your entire day. I mean, like from start to finish, working hours, down to the smallest detail. And there's apps too. There's tons of apps you can use for it. I like paper, again, just because I'm sitting there doing that, and do that for a week and then go back and analyze it, and you'll see real quick where you're spending your time. And once you do that for a week, it's really eye-opening how much time you spend doing certain things. And then that's how you can make adjustments, because right now you can sit back and, hey, this week's gone by, it's Friday afternoon, and not really sure what you did. You were busy and everything, but I don't know, I'm behind. I've got so much more I got to do. Well, how can you make yourself more efficient? You have no idea because you don't remember what you did on Tuesday, So journal that for a week, and it takes 10, 15 seconds every time you do it. But what it allows you to do is you can go in there and see then is, what am I doing that's not in my job description as a manager? Am I doing, lack of better terms, am I doing $8 an hour work? What are the tasks that I'm doing that I shouldn't be doing? Am I filing papers? Am I running to the bank? Am I doing things that I shouldn't be doing type stuff? Are you doing something that you're already paying someone else to do? And if you're having to go back and recheck over what they're doing, and the amount of time that, if you're having to go back and check over on somebody's work, in that same amount of time, you could have done it yourself and knew it would have been right. Well, that's another thing you have to reevaluate. I'm not saying go through and fire everybody, but, at the same time, too, we have to be efficient. We are running a business, so you have to look at things that way. Are they in the right position? Or do we need to train them? Is it my fault as a manager that I haven't trained them better? If I'm having to check everything they do, well, I could have just done it myself, or we're better off get somebody else to do it. So you have to look at those things too. And am I doing things that I've already got a position over here that they're supposed to be doing? Or is it something that I need to pass off that I shouldn't be doing? Because in most cases, if we're doing things that a entry-level person could do or less, well, the math is, if we're doing enough of it, we can hire somebody to do that stuff. And by making us more efficient, focusing on high value things, it'll pay for that position. Is that the case always? No, but generally speaking, usually is. So by hiring a admin type person to handle some of this stuff, the efficiency you get back and what your hourly rate is, and I mean not what you make an hour, but how much revenue are you generating per hour, will pay for that person 2 times over and free you up to work on big picture stuff. So, what can you delegate from that time audit? What do you need to cut out? What are you doing that you don't need to be doing? It's not even important, or who do you need to cut out? And you can do this with your staff as well. So about a year ago, Ben came to me. He was like, man, he said, I am so covered up. I said, I know, man, you're busy. You're daylight to dark, grinding and everything. He said, and I'm behind, and this right here. He said, I'm not. He said, I think we need to hire somebody else. I said, well, why do you say that? Why do you think we need to hire somebody else? That's my question. I asked him. He said, well, we're behind. I said, well, based on what I know, you should be able to handle all of this. I said, but I'm not. I'm not sitting beside him all day, hovering over his back. So I have no idea what he's doing all day. I know he's busy because I can see him working. He's on the phone doing stuff. And so I had him do it. So let's do a journal for the week. And we sit down and looked, and we found out that he was doing stuff that he was going back checking people's stuff that other people were doing and taking twice the amount of time on things. And we cut all that stuff out. He was doing things that wasn't in his job description. That's my fault, but we figured it out because I didn't know he was doing it. I didn't know he was going back checking their stuff. That's just how person he is. We want to make sure it was right. Well, once we did that, we freed it up. We were actually able to add more things onto him because we made him more efficient, but he was focusing on high value things. So you can do this with your staff as well. If you've got people that are, man, I'm slammed, I'm covered up, or I need some help, well, let's really figure out what you're doing all day, and it'll also, in one sense, it'll expose them if they're not really busy, or if they really are, we get some relief in there and figure it out. So doing those time audits are great exercises to do with things. And I say do one on yourself. Do it this week and see what you're doing. Where can what portion of this is high value money generating things and what portion's not. Daily activity planner. I do this every day. I've done this every day for, 10, 12 years. Again, my brain works differently than most people's. I think anybody who's met me knows that. But this is how I have checks and balances on the things that I have in my life. So the first 30 minutes of the day, the work day, the first 30 minutes of the work day and the last 30 minutes of the work day, I fill out it's basically a to-do list. I don't like the word to-do because it kind of makes me feel like work. So I call it the daily activity planner. And I write down everything I've got to get done, right? So you sit down, okay, here's all the things I've got to get done for the day, or the week or the month or whatever. These are things that's on my list. So I write everything down. And as I do them, I mark them off. I've got a red pen, and I mark them off with a big X. There's something about checking off a list and marking things out. It's a mental thing. I don't know the science behind it, but it helps you, it motivates your brain. And I mark things off as I complete them each day. It's that satisfaction of completion and getting things done, and it's right there in front of me. So I'm least likely to forget things as well. One thing I do on that, and I figured this out a couple of years ago, is I word items on my task list or my to-do list as I've already got it done. So, for example, forecast review submitted to Todd. That was on my to-do list. Well, instead, you could have put submit forecast review to Todd. I got to do it. Well, I put forecast review submitted to Todd. So I write everything down like I've already done it, like it's already completed. Then when I mark it off and I go look at it at the end of the day, I read it like I've already done it. So it's just kind of some mental motivation. Works for me, but don't put it on there like you've got to do it. Put it on there like you've already got it done. And as you're checking it off, it feels good, especially with big red X. And as new things pop up, I add them to the list. I go to the bottom of the list, I write it in there. Hey, you got to get this done. Boom. Now, there's some things, if it's something like a customer's, hey, I got this, I'll knock it out right then. Things that are something that has to happen right away that's for a customer, or if somebody's hinging on me doing this so they can do something else, that's different. But things that I have time to do, and by nature, okay, I got a deadline that's Friday at 3:00. Well, I want to do it at Friday at 2:30. It's just the way my brain works. So when I've got it on a list, it helps me stay in front of it, and I think about it, keeps it top of mind. And so at the end of the day, I go through and I read through everything, see what all I got done, and then I rip it out of the notebook, and I got another sheet of paper, and I take everything that I didn't get done, and I'll go through and write it down on a new sheet of paper. So I clean off the old, I see what I got accomplished, I write everything down on the new one, and I always end up adding 2 or 3, 4 more things at the end of the day on the new list. And I'm like, I got to do this tomorrow. I got to do that tomorrow. But what's cool is when you do it at the end of the day, you subconsciously think about it all night long. You don't have to come into work in the morning, turn your computer on and be like, all right, what am I going to do? Check my email or grab a cup of coffee. I'm not thinking about what I've got to get done, because at the end of the day, the last thing I did was make a list of all the things I got to do tomorrow, and I thought about it all night long. Now, am I sitting there at dinner time thinking about this spreadsheet I've got to send somebody? No, but our brains are crazy, and I know what's on that list, and I've already kind of mentally prepared for it. So when I get in there the next morning, I know exactly what I got to do. I got a plan. I've thought about it. I'm mentally prepared for it, and we go. Now, does everything always stay on track every time? No, things happen. You have to be flexible and adjust.
but I'm pretty rigid on my list of making things because if not, I just won't do it. If I don't write it down, I probably won't do it, or I might think about it 5 days later when I was supposed to get it done. So it's really cool when you do that. And one thing that I found is knock out the tough things first thing in the morning, because the first hour of each day, that's our most productive time because our brain's not woke up all the way yet. So we don't have any mental distractions. We're not worried about this, or we're not daydreaming about that, or those kind of things are going. So the first hour of the day is when I always knock out tough stuff, things that are demanding, or those things that require super laser focus. I always get done first thing in the morning. I think multitasking is a myth. We were just, look at Pat's got 9 bells spinning all the time, but when you're doing desk work, there's no way you can do something with 100% excellence, 7 things at once. It's physically impossible. The only way if you can do something with excellence is focus on one thing at a time and knock it out. It's going to take the same amount of time to do everything anyways. And so I take and just knock this out, knock this out, knock this out, knock this out. Now, I understand too that it's easier for a guy to compartmentalize things in our brains. I read this book one time that said men are like waffles, women are like spaghetti, and it's so true because men, you think about a waffle, we have quadrants in our brain that right now I'm thinking about unsweet tea. That's all I'm thinking about. And then if I want to think about something else, I step over to the other box. I'm not thinking about the tea anymore. And, women, you think about a plate of spaghetti, y'all have 70,000 things spinning at once in your head, and you've got 12 conversations going. And we don't work that way. We go from box to box to box, and we actually have a nothing box. And that's still hard for women to understand. We do have a nothing box. We really are thinking about nothing. So, but that translates into work too, because the way our brains work. But if you can focus on one thing at a time, you're least likely to make mistakes. You're least likely to miss things. So I have this thing. I learned this from I hired a professional organizer about 6, 7, 8 years ago. I was just like, man, I am spinning my wheels. I need some help. I have no idea how to get organized. And I hired this lady from Coleman to come in. She organized my office. She came to my bedroom and organized it. She organized my computer. I mean, she organized everything, and she put all these things in place. I learned a lot of this from her, but there's this little, it's called a time timer. You'll come to my office. I should have brought it, but it's got you can get all kind of different sizes of them, but it's got a white face on it, 60 seconds. And I can say, all right, this task is going to take me 20 minutes to do. Well, I'll put it on 20 minutes. And as the 20 minutes goes down, the red starts to go away. And it's something about mental in my head that works great. They make watches, there's apps, but you can set just a timer on your phone and say, hey, listen, I'm going to get this done in 30 minutes. Set a timer for yourself so you stay on task. Whatever it is, however that works for you, but set yourself, hey, I'm going to get this knocked out in this amount of time, then move to the next thing. Now, is that possible 100% of the time? No. But at the same time, you can start kind of retraining yourself to focus on one thing, knock it out, focus on one thing, knock it out. And that task list will help you do that. What happens is these things get added and added and added to all of our plates all day long, and we just start doing it while we're in the middle of this other stuff. And that's where things fall through the cracks. Another thing too that people they don't do enough of is we don't schedule breaks for ourselves. In our company, the culture we have and stuff, we're all grinders. I mean, everybody, especially people that are on this call, anybody that's spending their lunch hour in a leadership meeting, I mean, we're grinders. We work hard, we work long hours and things. And so every 90 minutes, you need to get up and do nothing for 5-10 minutes. And that sounds counterproductive. You take in 7, 8, 5, 10-minute breaks during the day, but it's a scientific fact. The adult brain cannot focus beyond 90 minutes at full capacity. It can't, and mine is my attention span is a lot shorter than that, but at least every hour and a half, if anybody that's been in the showroom will see me, I'll get up and I'll walk around the showroom for 5 minutes and talk to people, not thinking about anything to do with insurance or whatever it is you're doing. Disconnect and spend that time to go invest in your team members. Go ask so-and-so about, hey, how was your weekend? How's your kids doing? Blah, blah, blah. What do you have plans for the holidays? Whatever it is. And it kind of kills two birds with one stone, because you're disconnected for a minute so you can go back to it fresh. But also, too, it's blocking you off time to go invest with your people, to go talk to them and get to know them better and learn what's making them click, So I get up and walk around. You might can go to the lobby and talk to some customers or whatever it is, But this keeps you from getting burned out, and it also keeps you fresh. And anytime you've been working on something for a long time, you step away from it and you go back and look at it. We always find things we missed. It happens in anybody for anything. So that's a big thing that helps me out a ton. It keeps me focused and keeps me from seeing the squirrels and chasing things. So last thing we'll talk about is emails. we get a lot of these at Long Lewis, and it realistically, I would say as managers in this company, I mean, probably 45% of our day is on emails, doing stuff, and there's a way to kind of can take control of that inbox and make it work for you. Outlook is probably one of the most powerful softwares out there. Unfortunately, most of us use about 5% of its capabilities. So some of this might be repetitive for some of y'all. Some of it might be new. Maybe some of you know it and aren't doing it, but one big tip is utilizing folders for sorting different types of messages. Here's some examples. Like I've got a folder that says urgent. I've got one that says waiting for response. That means I got to respond to this. I've got one that says needs action. So that means I've got to do something, but it doesn't deem a response. I've got a parking lot where it's, this looks pretty neat. I want to read this. I don't want to delete it, but I throw it in the parking lot. Then I've got a folder that's called keep. So this is stuff that's important that I don't need to delete, and I might need a record that Pat said this to me later or something like that. So you got to figure out what works for you. Everybody's department's different. You might be, hey, this is my vendors folder. This is, all the ones from this employee or whatever it is. I have one from Todd. I have one. So like I'm on the sales manager's email list. 99.9% of that stuff has no relevance to me at all, but I like to stay on it because I know what they're doing out there. I can, least likely to screw something up. So I have that going to a separate folder because I know that that's never going to be something that's on fire pressing for me at that moment. Then I'll go through once a day and go through there and look at all of it. But I filter stuff. So you use filters to automatically sort incoming emails. I have so many rules in my outbox, my Outlook, that it's ridiculous, but I've got it working for me. So I have rules based on sender. So if anything goes to the sales managers group, it goes to a folder. If anything's sent from Todd, I got it going to a folder. I've got certain people on Allstate that goes to a certain folder. I've got employees that goes to a certain folder. So for senders, also if they're sending it to group messages, you can sort stuff from that. I've got subject lines, certain subject lines. So certain emails I get, like, for example, Danette Springer. Everything that comes from Danette Springer, I have going to a folder over here because it's all those reports and things like that. So keywords, certain things that you are like super important that hey, I can't miss these emails. And this is different for everybody. What that looks like for you, pop it over there. You can even place labels on certain types of emails and change colors of the way it looks in your inbox. But there's so many different things you can do to make it work for you. One thing that I have too is I have a solicitation folder. So I've got it set to, if the word unsubscribe is in that email, it automatically goes over here. So I know it's a bulk email, right? So if it's got unsubscribe link at the bottom of it, that's not a personal email to me, and I can look at it later. I might can look at it a week later. That's things that I know it's not on fire at that moment because of the amount of emails we get. Every single one of us are missing stuff every day. You have to be. There's no way around it. You're missing things. So, but you can put these things in place to make it work for you better. I have a set of canned responses. I have autoresponders on my emails set up for certain people. I have autoresponders going to, or if a customer, somebody doesn't have a longlewis.net or an allstate.com email address, I've got an autoresponder that goes out and says, hey, this is Josh Kelly. Thanks so much for your email. I got your message. I only check my email 2 times a day. I will get back with you today, but if you need immediate assistance, call our office at this, and this, and I'm checking them. But I do that to also set up the expectation of, hey, they're not waiting for me to think I'm going to email them right back in 30 seconds. It just gives me an opportunity to not respond to them right away. And 9 times out of 10, they call the office because it's something dumb anyways that I wouldn't even do. So, hey, how do I make a payment? Well, you need to call Amy anyways. You know, I'm not going to say that to them, but so autoresponders are great. Maybe it's common information. Maybe you get the same email about, hey, what's your address, or how much does this cost, or whatever that looks like. You know, when can I make a payment? You know, or where, you know, whatever that looks like for you. Maybe you have an autoresponder set up on there to where you have common information, you know, hours of operation or common things that you're constantly sending out to people, to where they email you and it automatically sends them an autoresponder with that information in the email. You know, hey, got your email. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. See below, here's some common things that I get a lot. This might be faster for you. I can help you word that. So that's cool. I have lots of email templates in there for things that you constantly have to send out. Maybe somebody emails you and you have to send out instructions about something, or maybe some information about something or how something works. Well, you can save and template out emails in there. So I can go in and boom, hit that email template. And I just have to change their name and maybe some minor details in there, something that's unique just for that. But that makes you more efficient. It's amazing the amount of time, those 2 or 3 minutes you save not having to think about it and just click a couple buttons and roll. I have a ton of email templates that I have that I just common stuff that I always send out. So the next thing is inside the email is the Outlook calendar. A lot of people just use it for meetings, you know, and they only use it if you send them a meeting. You know, there's probably a lot of people listening to this that the only time you use your Outlook calendar is when somebody else in the company sends you a meeting for it. But I am pretty psycho about it. But you can look at my calendar. Like if anybody ever wanted to like take me out, all they needed to do was look at my calendar, because I've got my day scripted down to check emails, to prepare for leadership meeting, emails. I mean, I've got so many tasks and stuff in my calendar, and even down to where if like tomorrow night, my daughter's got this thing at 6 o'clock. My wife emailed me a calendar invite 2 months ago, so it's on my calendar, because if it's not on my calendar, I don't do it. I don't think about it. So even personal stuff, down to maybe you're taking medicine, whatever that looks like, but you can keep track of deadlines on here. Maybe a deadline on something you have to turn in is on the 30th. Well, maybe you put a reminder in there on the 29th. Don't forget, this is due tomorrow. And then you have a reminder at 5 o'clock that says on the 30th, hey, did you send this in? Yes, I did. You know, block off time for certain tasks. I do that a lot too. With me is, okay, hey, I've got to get, like yesterday, I was working on some stuff to send Todd for forecast of some agencies we're buying. Well, I blocked off an hour and a half on my calendar of this is what I'm doing, because I'm the type of person, if I don't block off the time, it's tough for me to make the time, you know. But also too, with that, my whole team has access to my calendar and have access to theirs. Well, if I've got my headphones on and I'm dove into the computer, they can look on the calendar. Oh, he's working on his forecast. You know, we're not going to interrupt him unless it's something super important, or somebody's being smart at it. Block up time. I meant to put on that. Block off time for tasks and breaks. But add personal stuff in there. You know, if your kids got stuff, birthdays, don't forget your spouse's birthday or whatever, anniversaries, all of that stuff, reminders to do certain things, all of that's important. So use that Outlook calendar, make it work for you, you know, make it work for you. So that's that. Final thoughts is take action. The more efficient you get, the more time you have to work on high value revenue generating items. Most managers in our company, the more money your department makes, there's a little extra in the kitty for you, I would assume. I can't think of any department that's probably not like that. And that makes your paycheck go up. The company makes more money. It's a win-win, you know. And you're able to focus on things you like to do and things that are high value. You know, create rules for your life and business, because we don't have a normal person's working life. We don't. We're responsible for other people. We're responsible for departments. We're responsible for businesses. We're responsible for a lot of different things. So you got to figure out what that looks like for you. My day's different from everybody's day that's on this conference. So, and yours is different from all of ours. So you have to kind of figure out what works for you. But at the end of the day, you have to make that decision about how you use your time and what you do and when you do it. But that's just some tips. That's all I got. That's just some tips that this is things that work for me. May not work for you, but if it works for me, I guarantee it'll work for everybody else because I don't know of anybody that's more scattered than I am. But this is the things that helps me focus and be a little bit better, be a little bit better and maintain a certain level of normalcy. So that's all I got. So if anybody else has got anything you want to add, or if anybody's got any tips that works for you or anything you want to share, feel free to jump in.
Good meeting, Josh.
Thanks.
Email me that PowerPoint.
Cool. Yeah, I will.
Josh recorded this too. Email me as well down here in Prattville. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Cool. Anybody else? All right. Well, we'll let y'all roll a little early then. And I recorded this too. It's going to be on this computer if anybody wants it, or if there's anybody that you think would benefit from hearing this or seeing it, you can share it with them. I'm not really sure where it goes once it gets done on here, but I'll send you guys this PowerPoint, and maybe we get Rachel or somebody to get the recording off if anybody wants it. But that's it. Well, y'all have a great day. Let's sell some stuff. See you later. Bye.